It's the quarterfinal, the final match between Magnus Carlsen and Hans Niemann. Magnus Carlsen just coming back from a victory, now even with Hans Niemann both on 1.5 points. And in this must-win situation for both of them, the winner will move on to the next round of this World Blitz Championship. Magnus playing the Italian against Hans Niemann, going for standard ideas, h6 by Magnus, and Hans strikes with c3. Now, enjoy the commentary of Take 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 with Danya and Levy.
Oh, Danya, we have free reign here. We have too many cooks in the kitchen, so we're gonna have to cook the dinner here.
One more note though, Levy. So remember, we have some like new people to chess, and I'm not too, we talked about notations when we met in New York, Levy. Please, not too many notations. If it's a challenge for you guys, as few notations as possible.
Okay,
yeah, no letters and no numbers.
Knight F1, well, here, Knight F1, Bishop B6, Bishop B3, Bishop C4, Bishop C5.
Yes, precisely. Yes, and then B4, A4, Rook B1, B5, exactly. Expanding on the queen side there.
You guys have to take a shot for every notation you say now.
Oh, we might have to go for the minority attack B4, A4, Rook B1, B5, then Black Myers 1, G5.
Let's just start pouring the shots.
Yeah, I'm not going to make it outside this
no,
lounge.
This is what we're seeing here, the trade of the light squared bishops in the center of the board, and now the rook coming up to a square I won't name, or else the Squid Game soldier will pop me right in the head. Yeah, this is all very normal stuff, and Hans has played the Italian a lot, but I think Magnus chose this because isn't this a very similar game to Fabiano Gukesh and the candidates, like Rook E6, Rook E8?
Well, it's similar to like every super GM game, because now all we play is the Italian. The rook moved back to the initial square of the king there to avoid a spoon.
Yes.
Also known as a fork. And I mean, White's position looks very pleasant on the surface because you have more center control, but with more central control comes more responsibility. So Black could take on D4, and now White might have to recapture with the bishop, which is not the greatest sign. Magnus is happy here, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But the bar loves it, and the supercomputer loves it as well, which is sort of absurd because Black can simply capture with a knight. We know that a bishop traditionally is better than a knight, and so Magnus's bishop in the corner there on A7, hiding between the pawn and the rook. The bishop from Q46, the meme embodied, will have a very nice time. And then also Black can use the pawn next to the queen on the left side of the board, the C pawn, to also strike at the center. But Magnus is thinking here, why is he not taking the bishop?
Yeah, because the longer you look at this, and Magnus has been looking at this for 40 seconds now, that's a long think for a 3-minute game. Hans might recapture with a pawn. He might be pre-moving C takes D4. Then he'll have complete center control. The knight might jump into F5. So visually it looks like Black's achieved a lot, but I feel like...
You said 2 coordinates.
Man, is that...
I think you have to be removed from the premises.
I might have to be put on a stretcher here. So Magnus does finally grab, I was going to say the bishop pair, but maybe just the bishop.
Yeah, he just grabs one of the bishops, and kind of he's taking a very cagey approach. I like to make the analogy that he's putting his fists up in front of his head like a boxer, and he's like, bring it on. And Hans is better. He has the 2 rooks, queen, the 2 knights on the right side of the board, the 2 pawns in the center. Optically, his position is very appealing.
Yep.
But unfortunately, the game doesn't end when the position looks nice. He actually has to make a move forward. How nervous is Magnus right now, 1 to 10?
Like an 8. I mean, he brought his rook back up to E6. That was not on my bingo card. He would love to find a way to exchange queens. I think Magnus is most comfortable in the endgame. In these types of high-pressure scenarios, I've lost, all manner of endgames to him, better or worse, equal, doesn't matter. So Hans wants to keep the queens. He wants to eventually transform his center control into a kingside attack and maybe push one of the center pawns. I would say E5 is potentially
and that's the pawn
on deck.
That's the one in the light square right now, just for anybody confused. That's,
but it will move up to a dark square.
Correct. That's E4.
Look at the time, to 48 seconds to 2.5 minutes. That's a crazy time deficit.
Yeah, Magnus's last move is an unpleasant decision, weakening his king. He doesn't make pawn moves lightly. It's actually part of his player profile, but he is just going to try to lock down, and Hans is going to have to pick a fight to try to break through the position here.
But he's up to, I didn't face a deficit. Like when I had 30 seconds to a minute, I felt like I was going to lose on time. Hans is up 2 minutes, and he's mounting the pressure. Magnus is going to have to pull out, some magic from his hat And I know he's not wearing a hat, but he might have to conjure something up. He's down to 20 seconds now to 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
It is absolutely insane. He has 20
a
seconds on
fork
the
is
clock.
threatened. I mean, knight f5 is...
No, this is horrendous. This is practically very, very dangerous for Magnus.
One blunder and the game is over. Hans moves the knight back to f3, but this is obviously where Magnus shines. His resistance is unreal. He triples on the e-file. There's the pawn push, Levy.
Oh my goodness, the knight jumps to the middle now, attacking the queen.
Very committal decision by Hans. Did he mistime it?
I've got no idea who's better. I mean, it feels like it's still somehow white. Like, I would be optimistic here with the white pieces, but maybe Magnus is a move away from equalizing and maybe even taking advantage.
Yeah, e5 there. I mean, Hans's pawn was hanging. He pushed it forward, but now he gives Magnus his huge square, takes his time, and f5. Wait, f5 here.
Yeah, pawn to f5 attacking
or
the
h5.
queen.
I mean, the queen is in some trouble. Suddenly, Hans's position doesn't feel so safe anymore. Pieces are getting exchanged. That's in Magnus's favor.
Oh, he has 18 seconds on the clock. I can't watch this as like a fan of like either player.
God.
Bishop b8, he brings the bishop back. Now it's got a purpose.
Trying to force Hans to exchange rooks, and he does.
And he's going to trade the queens now too, maybe. There's no attack. Magnus can play this endgame with 9 seconds on the clock. Is that what that says?
Oh my gosh, 13 seconds now, but it's with 2 second increment, Levy, over the board, you can at most make up 1 second, just the time it takes to execute the move. But Magnus he must be thrilled. He'd have this with 2 seconds rather than the previous position with, 32 minutes.
Yeah, this is actually a little bit better.
Ooh,
Now you
keeps
can't
the
blunder.
queens.
And apparently now...
Don't blunder the fork.
Yeah,
Don't blunder the
Magnus'
fork.
Knight g5. The knight on the left side moving in but okay, queen offering a trade there. Magnus offering a queen trade.
I mean, Hans kind of has to accept.
The queens are off the board, but this is just better for black.
This is a Magnus dream. I mean, how you're going to win this is a different question, but the d4 pawn, it's isolated, it's weak. The rooks might come off as well, and then the bishop will start to harass that pawn via a7.
Oh, this is a very nice defensive resource, though, from Hans. The knights tied together, the king is going to come forward. And Danya, we saw yesterday Magnus mess up in endgame where he didn't have a lot of time on the clock.
Yeah, how many times do we see the player in front overpress, right? Try too hard, blunder something, you're still in time pressure, you're still a minute down. And Hans trying to put his knights to the best possible use.
But that pawn in the center for Hans is now a liability. It's kind of gone past being an asset. It's now simply going to be a target unless he's able to push it forward, which I'm not sure he's going to be able to do. Pieces flying now.
Oh my gosh, it's no longer an asset, it's just a set. And yeah, I mean, the position just keeps transforming. Magnus claiming some space on the king side, but weakening the e5 square. Can he get to that d4 pawn eventually? Look, all of the pieces are staring at that. Now all the pawns are joining the party.
Oh my goodness. What is Hans going to... How is he going to defend this pawn?
He might lose the pawn. He's just losing the pawn on d4.
Yeah, because the rooks... The white rook is way more loose.
He's got to go rook e1, I think, and try to go for piece activity, but...
Magnus has doubled his time. He went from 10 to 20, not because he's hacking, because you get 2 seconds bonus every time you make a move.
And Hans has lost nearly the entirety of his time advantage.
Wow, this is unfathomable.
And he's on the defensive. He's absolutely on the defensive now. He's panicking. King c3. That's... Wait, he might be losing here.
Isn't
but
he just losing like knight? Oh, the knight.
Oh, what a move.
Yes, he's attacking the pawn on the right side.
Knight e4.
Yes, he's going to jump into the center and maybe even knight f3, which pins and puts pressure. But of course, knight e4 is the better move.
White's position is collapsing. I don't see a move for Hans. Now the time has equalized 20 seconds. Knight takes f3.
I'm seeing a live computer evaluation at minus 2.95, which is fatal for white.
Unreal. I don't see a move. I mean, maybe you have to focus on not losing the knight in the center of the board if you're Hans.
And Hans is down to 7 seconds? 6?
King d3. Where's the crushing blow, though?
That's true.
Hans, he does not want to lose. He's going to fight till the last drop of blood. Gets his king back to the center.
And by the way, this is the best moment that Magnus had all game, and I think Magnus is winning a pawn now. Knight takes pawn is just, it's a free pawn.
And, okay, he gives a check first, gains some time. Now the knight will circle back to c4, another pawn.
There's a fork for white in the center of the board of the king and the rook for black. Okay, Magnus
paused
notices.
it. I would have missed that.
Stop it. Yeah, centralizing, and he's winning. The knight is going right back to e4. Hans with 5 seconds on the clock. 3.
Unbelievable.
4.
Now Hans is the one on the hot seat. And he's got a losing position. It's the worst of all worlds for him. Magnus should win this, but knights are tricky.
Magnus has demonstrated an ability, like a sportsman, to keep his heart rate low in these types of moments, and I think it has to be helping him here. My heart would be like 150 right now. 160 beats
I
me.
heard it was 150 on like move 1 of every blitz game. Forget about the time scramble. Magnus's pieces coming in. Hans has done a really nice job of arranging his knights. He's kept his pieces together for the most part, but he might lose another pawn. on the side of the board on h3.
And
if you take it now, there's rook h1 though.
Yes,
Careful.
and for folks watching at home, keeping 2 knights on the board during a scramble like this is extremely important because there's forks everywhere. Pieces are flying all over the board. We have no idea what's going on.
He's down. He's up 3 pawns now, but he's got to make a move.
Oh my goodness.
He was down to 3 seconds there.
What's going on? Knight.
Hans he's taken on f5.
Yes, but all of Magnus's pieces are well coordinated, and he's just going to start pushing.
8 seconds on the clock. He wins another pawn on f5. He's still up 3 pawns. He's completely winning.
What was? Oh my gosh, Hans almost lost on time there. The bishop goes back. This is insane. What is happening?
If Magnus doesn't blunder a straight up fork, he should win. But now his king is sort of in the way of the pawns. There might be a mate for black here. I mean, Magnus is attacking.
Knight d3, and he has to push pawns. No, I mean, this is still
no mate, though. He trades the knights. That's not necessarily a good thing, Levy. Rook c5, Hans still fighting.
Yeah, he's still fighting. It is winning.
And they've got like 3 hours on their clocks now.
Yes. 15 seconds to 6 is, yeah, bishop comes back, and this is...
Still a game.
Yes, but this is child's play for Magnus now. I mean, short of him hanging a rook in one move.
And rook yeah, the pawn doesn't go any further. It doesn't go past a5.
Just don't blunder a knight move. And that's it, and Magnus should get the job done.
Knight's moving in L shape. He's got to make a move.
Yeah, Hans made that move with 1 second on the clock.
And now the minor pieces exchange. Good for Magnus. Is completely winning. Now there's almost no tricks.
That's it. It's a 2-1 endgame. We're going to see a resignation very, very shortly.
That's it. He's paused. There's no moves. Magnus will promote.
We see Hans there holding his head.
He's playing till mate, I think. Or
resignation.
Mate.
Magnus wins. Unbelievable.